Hey, it's Crispy Patty. Thanks for joining me. I have this book for you. It's a classic. Make Way for Ducklings. Robert McCloskey. Caldecott Award Book. So it's a good one. Look at those old cars. Wow. Wonder how old those ducks are. Quack, 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 quack. All right, let's see. Oh, cute. Look at that. The stages of a duck coming out of an egg. Pretty neat, huh? Never seen that before. The most distinguished American picture book for children in the year of its publication, 1941. Your grandparents or great-grandparents would be around then. If you are from, is it Memphis? Memphis? I believe it's Memphis. Yes, Memphis. There's a hotel called, I believe it is the Peabody, where the ducks go into the lobby. They go into a fountain, and then they go upstairs in an elevator. There's a very big ordeal, and there's even a caretaker who announces when they come in, and they go into the elevator, and then you can go up to the penthouse or the top of the building and see them. It's really cute. You should check it out. Here we go. Mr. and Mrs. Mallard were looking for a place to live, but every time Mr. Mallard saw what looked like a nice place, Mrs. Mallard said it was no good. There were sure to be foxes in the woods or turtles in the water, and she was not going to raise a family where there might be foxes or turtles. So they flew on and on. Can you imagine trying to find a place while flying up in the sky? Oh. When they got to Boston, they felt too tired to fly any further. There was a nice pond in the public garden with a little island on it, the very place to spend the night. Quacked Mr. Mallard. So down they flapped. Next morning they fished for their breakfast in the mud at the bottom of the pond, but they didn't find much. Do you see that? Their ducks, their little bums sticking out, huh? That's because their head's down there, trying to grab the food on the bottom of the pond. That's right. Just as they were getting ready to start on their way, a strange, enormous bird came by. It was pushing a boat full of people, and there was a man sitting on its back. "Good morning," quacked Mr. Mallard, being polite. The big bird was too proud to answer, but the people on the boat threw peanuts into the water, so the mallards followed them all around the pond and got another breakfast, better than the first. Do you see the big swan there? They think it's real, so Mr. Mallard was saying hi to it, but it's actually on the back of the boat. It's part of the boat. It's not real. "I like this place," said Mrs. Mallard, as they climbed out on the bank and waddled along. "Why don't we build a nest and raise our ducklings right in this pond? There are no foxes, no turtles, and the people feed us peanuts. What could be better?" "Good," said Mr. Mallard, delighted that at last Mrs. Mallard had found a place that suited her. But what? What's happening? Reek! Look out! Squawked Mrs. Mallard, all of a dither. You'll get run over. And when she got her breath, she added, This is no place for babies, with all those horrid things rushing about. We'll have to look somewhere else. Quack, 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 quack. You see that? The kid just buzzed right by, almost ran over the duck. So they flew over Beacon Hill and round the State House, but there was no place there. They looked in Louisburg Square, but there was no water to swim in. You need the water. Then they flew over the Charles River. This is better, quacked Mr. Mallard. That island looks like a nice, quiet place, and it's only a little way from the public garden. Yes, said Mrs. Mallard, remembering the peanuts. That looks like just the right place to hatch ducklings. So they chose a cozy spot among the bushes near the water and settled down to build their nest, and only just in time, for now they were beginning to molt. All their old winged feathers started to drop out, and they would not be able to fly again until the new ones grew back. Ooh, did you know that? But of course, they could swim, and one day they swam over to the park on the riverbank, and there they met a policeman called Michael. Michael fed them peanuts. And after that, the Mallards called on Michael every day. What a sweet chap, huh? Feeding them consistently and regularly. Looks like he's a policeman, yeah. Ooh, wow, look at all those eggs. After Mrs. Mallard had laid 8 eggs in the nest, she couldn't go to visit Michael anymore because she had to sit on the eggs to keep them warm. She moved off the nest only to get a drink of water or to have her lunch or to count the eggs and make sure they were all there. In case one rolled away or something, huh? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's right. Ooh, oh, look at that. One day the ducklings hatched out. First came Jack, then came Cack, then came Lack, then Mack, then Knack, and Whack, and Pack, and Quack. Mr. and Mrs. Mallard were bursting with pride. It was a great responsibility, taking care of so many ducklings. It kept them very busy. Can you imagine? Is your mom busy with you? Do you have siblings, like a brother and sister? Can you imagine having 8 kids and your mom and dad? Or your mom or your dad trying to tend to you, huh? One day, Mr. Mallard decided he'd like to take a trip to see what the rest of the river was like further on. So off he said, I'll meet you in a week in the public garden. He quacked over his shoulder. Take good care of the ducklings. Don't you worry, said Mrs. Mallard. I know all about bringing up children. And she did. Oh, look at the little babies. They're saying bye-bye, bye-bye, Daddy. There's a little bottle floating there. Wonder if it has a message in it. She taught them how to swim and dive. That's right. That's how you learn from someone else. From Mommy. She taught them to walk in a line, to come when they were called, and to keep a safe distance from bikes and scooters and other things with wheels. That's right. Do you ever see ducks? They're usually in a line. Isn't that funny? When at last she felt perfectly satisfied with them, she said one morning, "Come along, children, follow me." Before you could wink an eyelash, Jack, Cack, Lack, Mack, Knack, Whack, Pack, and Quack fell into line just as they had been taught. Mrs. Mallard led the way into the water, and they swam behind her at the opposite bank. There they are, following Mama. Oh, here we go, into the city. And they waded ashore and waddled along till they came to the highway. Ooh, stay close. Uh-oh, here we go. Mrs. Mallard stepped out to the crosswalk. Honk, honk, went the horns on the speeding cars. Quack, quack, went Miss Mallard as she tumbled back again. Quack, 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 went Jack, Cack, Lack, Mack, Knack, Whack, Pack, and Quack, just as loud as their little quackers could quack. The cars kept speeding by and honking, and Mrs. Mallard and the ducklings kept right on quack, quack, quacking. Whoa, honk, honk, quack, quack. Oh, little cheep, cheep. Can you see the little sounds coming out of the baby birds? Have you ever seen them trying to cross the road? They often just walk right into the middle of the road, and you have to stop, of course. Oh, here we go. They made such a noise that Michael came running, waving his arms and blowing his whistle. Oh, see how sweet Michael is? He's saving them, right? He's the one that's been feeding them. Look at that. He planted himself in the center of the road, raised one hand to stop the traffic, and then beckoned with the other, the way policemen do, for Mrs. Mallard to cross over. Oh, isn't that sweet? Beckon. Do you know what beckoned with the other? So he said, "Come, come." Okay, where is he going now? As soon as Mrs. Mallard and the ducklings were safe on the other side and on their way down Mount Vernon Street, Michael rushed back to his police booth. Michael's being busy. Look at that run, huh? It's called a billy club. And he got his whistle. Oh. He called Clancy at headquarters and said, "There's a family of ducks walking down the street," Clancy said. Family of what? Ducks, yelled Michael. "Send a police car, quick." What do you think's going to happen? He's calling the headquarters, telling them that there's ducks on the way. Meanwhile, Mrs. Mallard had reached the corner book shop and turned into Charles Street with Jack, Cack, Lack, Mack, Knack, Whack, Pack, and Quack all marching in line behind her. Oh, look at everybody's sneaking out, having a peek. Huh? Everyone stared. An old lady from Beacon Hill said, Isn't it amazing?" The man who swept the street said, "Wow, well, now ain't that nice? Ain't that nice?" And when Mrs. Mallard heard them, she was so proud she tipped her nose in the air and walked along with an extra swing in her waddle. Oh, Mrs. Mallard is proud and complimented by her beautiful children that everybody is admiring. Right? I'm sure your mom or your dad or both, I'm sure, are very proud of you and get compliments when you're out in public from you, huh? When they came to the corner of Beacon Street, there was the police car with 4 policemen that Clancy had sent from headquarters. The policemen held back the traffic so Mrs. Mallard and the ducklings could march across the street. Well, look at that. You see them? They're right there. Look at that. 4-way traffic, huh? Causing everyone to stop. Right on into the public garden. Inside the gate, they all turned around to say thank you to the policeman. The policeman smiled and waved goodbye. Aw, what a special relationship they all have. When they reached the pond and swam across to the little island, there was Mr. Mallard waiting for them, just as he had promised. There he is, standing on the shore. The ducklings liked the new island so much that they decided to live there. All day long they followed the swan boats and eat peanuts. There's the swan, and there they are following along eating peanuts. It sounds like a pretty good lifestyle, huh? And when night falls, they swim to their little island and go to sleep. Ah, the simple life, huh? The essentials, family, safety, food, beautiful scenery and weather and people. That's it. And then looks like finished with this picture again of the duckling hatching out in stages. And then on the back here, Children's Choice Book Club. Well, thanks for waddling here to join me. And until next time, quack, 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 quack.